And good morning. I hope everybody's having a good day this morning. It's almost the end of August, closing down the summer. I hope everybody had a good summer this summer and took time for ourselves. We're going to talk about journaling today. We're on our week 9, mindfulness and presence. That's where we want to bring ourselves, is into the present. And we want to be mindful of the things that we have to be grateful for. That's something to really be mindful of, is being grateful for things. I would have been more grateful for a better sleep last night. Somehow I didn't sleep that good, but that's my problem. I just couldn't get up. It took me a minute, which means I have to rush to be on time because I am somebody that likes to be on time. I like to be here for you. You know, when you're starting the day off, sometimes we think about what it is that we have to do that day. And if we think about this year that's passed, so far of 2025 and what's left of 2025, there were different times in our life where we had a list. It could have been a grocery list. It could have been an errand list, a back to school list for some people here recently. And the reason we wrote those lists down were all reminders of things that we had to do. Where is your self list? That would be your journal. That would be a list with either bullet points on it, goals, ideals, things that you've created for yourself, for what your own needs are, whether they're for your mental health, for your clarity, maybe just for your physical health. We all have different things that we'd like to accomplish in life. And one of the things that will always help you out in life is keeping track of what's going on with yourself and how you feel about yourself. And these are these different lists we have to make. I think there's only in 12 weeks we'll be making a Christmas list. So these are different lists that we follow. These lists will help you with a better sense of value, of self-worth. And that's what we want. And based on science, people who journal and write lists and do things have clarity. They have a better mind for decision making. They have a better mind for self-care, and they have a mind with more clarity in it. So week 9 of our 14 weeks, we're talking about being mindful and present and cultivating presence with awareness, inner peace. If you're here on Thursday, you would have saw the little hourglass I wrote there. Inner peace loading. Please wait. Wait for that. Those are some of the things that'll come to you when you're journaling. When you're taking the time to think about your own thoughts and cultivate your path in life, you're going to have inner peace. You're going to feel better. You're going to feel better in a lot of different ways. So when we're journaling, when we're journaling for presence and mindfulness, we're basically writing down what we see, feel around us, what's around us right now. And some easy ones is of what you're grateful for. Gratitude. One of the weeks we talked about journaling for gratitude of what we have to be grateful for. And there's many things that we have to be grateful for. And these are things that we want to recognize in our life. That is making an intentional effort to think about what it is that you have and not what it is that you lack or what you think you need. Sometimes we try to exchange good things that we have for something else, only to find out we end up with something worse, or what we already had was better. That's appreciation of ourselves, appreciation of our relationships, of our job. So we want to encourage ourselves to really delve down deep to realize how good that we actually have it in life. And a lot of us have it a lot better than others. But, you know, if you're conscious about what it is that you really do have, and you realize that life is a gift, that is the first step to having a powerful mind that can utilize its own recognition of gratitude to help you be happier in your life. So, journaling, as we know, is a powerful tool that offers a multitude of mental health benefits, and it can truly be transformative for one's emotional well being. Here are some of the benefits that journaling is going to provide you. And we talk about this all the time in the 14 weeks of the benefits. Journaling is something that you want to try and make the time for every day, the list. Right when I started this morning, I was talking about we're a good part through the year. It's almost the end of August now. And there's been many times this year where you've already made lists. You've made grocery lists, you made back to school lists, you made a birthday list, you made different types of shopping lists, um, and different things that your car might need, an oil change. And these are things that you're making lists about because you depend on those things. Your car has a maintenance checklist. Well, we as people are like that too. We have a maintenance checklist for our mental health. And there should be a list. It's called a journal that's in your life where you can journal things that you may feel you need improvement on, what your goals are, a bucket list. There's so many different things that we could have a list on that we can be journaling about. And that's why it was so easy to come up with a 14-week journaling plan. But back to our emotional well-being, here are the benefits of journaling. Emotional release, releasing our emotions on paper so we can have a better understanding of what we're dealing with and what we're going through in our life, which is very important. You need to know where you are at all times and how you feel. There's times we wake up and we don't feel so good. That's just being human. We go through different emotions possibly throughout the day. But we want to be aware that no matter how we feel at any time in life, that happiness is still there. It's always lingering behind maybe an emotion of sadness or maybe an emotion of I don't feel so good or being tired. It's always there. And to tap it and to know where it is, you want to enhance your self-awareness through journaling. Because when you're journaling, you're gaining the insights into your thoughts, into your behaviors, into your beliefs, into what's going on and where we want to be. What are we going to leave today to carry on tomorrow? Remember, some of the things that we talk about here in our 14-week journaling is today's bad thoughts are tomorrow's garbage. We do not want to bring into a day garbage, things that we know are going to trash our mind, or things that we might think about ourselves that we've challenged that we know are not true, or worries or beliefs that somebody might have said something about us, that somebody might not like us, or this or that. These are these worries that we have that we don't want to carry in to a fresh day that was made for you. Today is a fresh day to start all over. It's a new reminder. And sometimes you don't even need a new day. You can just have a new moment. From this moment forward, I'm not going to think about this, right? So when we're journaling and we're being mindful, it's going to enhance and increase our self-awareness of who we are. Good morning, everybody. I'm glad that you're in here. We're on week 9. Week 9, we're talking about mindfulness, presence, cultivating presence and awareness in our life. And at any time, we can just stop for a moment and, hey, I don't like the way things are going right now, and remind us of things. We would try to remind ourselves of things that are going well, right? And these are different problem solving skills that I'm talking about. Problem solving skills of problems in thought, bad habitual thoughts that we have that we want to get rid of. We want to constantly be in a flow of goodness, being in a good of goodness. Being in a flow of goodness means that we are tracking things. We do have our list. Here in a couple of months, you'll have to have a Christmas list of some kind. If you celebrate gift giving at Christmas time, you would have a list. And during that list, you're creating a certain mindset about that holiday, getting ready for it. Where are you going to spend it? Who you want to spend it with? And if you want to spend some of your money on somebody, these are all decisions that we make. And when we're making our decisions, we want the people that are brought into our world, that we keep into our circle, that we keep in our hands, that we trust, to be happy, because we're grateful for them. So we give them a gift, and we know who they are because we write that list down. And we know that there's people that don't have friends, and there's people that don't have the benefit of having someone to give a gift to. And there'll be people that won't open gifts. And journaling, being aware that we have an abundance of things that we just ignore every day, just from having a home, maybe a job, a new car, a bicycle, or even being able to have intention to have a good moment, somewhere that you can go that you know is safe. It could be your favorite place to go walk or sit down, or a nice chair that you have. But most of all in life, when we journal, it's going to improve our mood over time. Over time, it's going to help our moods. So when certain things happen, certain patterns happen, or hiccups happen, our moods improve because we have a better understanding that that's life. And through journaling and being mindful and staying present, it helps us navigate the times that are going to be a little rough. And when you feel that you're in a moment that's really rough, that you have all these challenges ahead of you, you know, sometimes you can take a glance behind you to see that you've already conquered mountains in your life. You've already overcame a lot of different things in your life, and therefore you have the strength and the resilience to go forward with what you have to do. Sometimes salvation in our life is where we find our largest obstacle. There's things in our life that is an obstacle to us, and we have fear to conquer that obstacle. And then when we're finding ourselves writing, and we're writing about awareness, and we're writing about presence and in the present moment and where we are, we realize that we have free will, and we have the ability and the freedom to conquer any fear that we want to. Whether we do it out of curiosity, or whether we feel it's something that we have to do to carry on in our life and facing our fears and open new doors in our life, can sometimes be done by pleasing ourselves more than others. When you're staying present in your mind, specifically, it's about you. To be specific, journaling is specifically about you. It's about why you might feel a certain way, why you might have an emotion, what hobbies you might want to do in the future, what list you want to write, where do you want to go this fall. And you want to make certain decisions that are going to enhance not just your lifestyle, but your state of being. A lot of people get confused and think that, you know, the best part of life would be to have a lifestyle. And don't get me wrong, lifestyles are really nice, but there's nothing like a peace of mind that you own that nobody can interrupt. And when you're journaling for a peace of mind, and you're journaling for awareness, you're guarding that peace of mind. This is something that you're guarding because you're tending to it, because you're aware of it. You're aware that I have my peace. That's one thing I woke up with this morning is my peace of the presence and my peace of mind, and understanding that it's going to take work. It's going to take work every day. And you can see as time goes on that you won't get the reaction that you used to have to some things, which is hard. But not changing things are hard too. So what hard do you want to deal with in life? Life's full of choices, and decisions help us navigate complexities of our daily life. And making choices that align with our values and making choices that align with our goals are important, because those are the circumstances. That's right, Brian. Choose your hard. Those are the circumstances that you're going to live with. Anybody that's in any situation, some of these are circumstances. I'm not going to say that we chose, but we chose decisions and ways to get into anywhere our life is today. And if you're new to journaling and it's not something that you have ever done, just start small. Start with some prompts. What do I like about my life? What things do I feel that I have control over in my life? What things in my life are bothering me? And then write those down. And then when you see what's bothering you, how can you perceive those differently? Because a lot of things that bother us is the way that we're perceiving them. The way that we're perceiving our life has a lot to do with what and where our mindset is, for a variety of factors. That's right. There's a variety of factors in our life that will create our mindset. The number one is perception. How you're perceiving your life. And that's shaping how you feel about something, how you're looking at it, how you're looking at a problem. Sometimes when we let problems and things that bother 100%, when we ignore things, they do go away. With the exception of certain things we know in life. Bills don't go away. But there's a lot of things that will go away. And it does help slow thoughts down. Right? Our decisions are guided by these core beliefs and these principles that we have in our life. And when we're journaling, we can review where our core principles are and what we believe in life. When we're journaling, we know that we're on the right path because we're bringing ourselves into the next chapter of our life. We're leaving yesterday's trash where yesterday is. We're making the decisions on who's going to be our friends, who we're going to get into our life. We're going to find out who's manipulating us. So mindsets and habits impact your behavior, not just your thoughts. See how powerful that is? Your mindset, your perception. Man, this is controlling your behavior, your thoughts, your spending habits, everything of where you are. What is it that you really need? Wisdom and a peace of mind. They say as you get older, you get wiser. And when you get wiser, you need left. So a lot of what we think we need now, we're not going to need in the future. Because as we go on in life, our needs change. And one of the needs that you want to pay specific attention to. Good morning, Kelly. Thank you so much. One of the needs that you want to pay specific attention to in your life are your mental and your physical needs as we get older. And as we get older, sometimes our needs change and our perceptions change of people, sometimes of family. And some of the social norms change. Things are way different now than they were when I was in, good morning, when I was in high school. When I was in high school, there's a lot of laws that exist now that don't exist anymore. from seatbelt laws to you can send a 9-year-old kid to go buy cigarettes. There's these things that change in life. And that is because as a society, we recognize what's good and bad as well. And we live in a society that tries to have law and order. And not just as a society, but we need that for ourselves. We have to have law and order in our lives too, to make sure that things are aligning with our core beliefs. And when there's something in anything that's tripping you up, that is becoming a challenge or an obstacle, we have to make decisions on, can I change this by my perception, or do I change this by avoidance? Sometimes we get to a point where sometimes we need huge change of avoidance in our life as we move on. Avoidance of people, places, and things. Certain playgrounds we went to. So as we go on, take a moment to get intentional about your life. Take a moment to purposely be intentional and participate into the well-being of your life, making it intentional. As I said earlier, this year you've had a lot of lists that you've made. You've made birthday lists, grocery lists, planning lists. You've mapped things out. Where's your list? Where's the personal list? Where's mine? Where's the little book for you that you have about how you're feeling? Introduce yourself to a new way of living through journaling. Introduce yourself to you. You're going to find you're the greatest person with more understanding and compassion for yourself. And sometimes you may feel that you don't have the confidence or the self-esteem for it. That doesn't matter, because as we move on and as we are journalers in our life, we find the compassion and the love that we need right inside of our own hearts. Everything that we've ever needed, the validation that we've ever needed. When you're young and you're being raised by the people that are responsible to raise you, a lot of what you've been told by them, maybe aunts, uncles, and your past experiences, ultimately, they all shape your life. And at the moment they're determining what they've said and how you're raised determines your future. And that's not what your reality is. Your reality is your perception now, your thoughts. You no longer need the guidance of the adults you had when you were younger. So your thoughts, what you saw is, hey, that looks cool, I should try that. And you try it, and sometimes maybe it's not so cool, right? So navigating a life with the understanding that my life is full of choices, and it's up to me on how I want to live my life and what choices that I want to make. They're small choices. I'll share some with you right now that are going on in my life that I'm not just forced to make, but I know to live longer that I have to make. One of them is smoking. One is getting more active, which I've been doing. And what I eat or drink, certain sodas. I have a problem drinking soda sometimes. But everything that you do in life has a pro and a con. And when you're being mindful about things, you understand the pros and your cons. And a lot of us live with cons for a long time, trying to perceive that I can get used to this. You don't want to get complacent in your problems. And you don't want to be complacent in being what I call mentally stalled. When you're mentally stalled, you're typically not journaling, and you're waking up, working, resting, doing what you do, going to bed, waking up, working, resting, doing what it is. And your Saturdays and Sundays are currents, and these currents that run you of people pleasing and all of these chores that you've created in life, which typically support other people's lives. It could be just chores of laundry, getting your house done and ready for next week for what? That's what your weekend is I'm going to spend my weekend getting ready for next week. What about spending your day being mindful and present in the day and not worrying so much about next week? having times of the day, just doing things as you go on. You got to row your boat, and it's going to take effort to row your boat, and you got to navigate your boat. And then with good ideas and with journaling and good mental health, you can turn your rowboat into a sailboat. You can pull the sail up and let the wind of your knowledge guide you to a good present moment in your life that makes you happy. And you can navigate and you can find yourself there once you are good with yourself and acknowledge yourself and accept your presence. The only way to live is by accepting each minute as the unrepeated miracle. And that is so true. And what happens in that a minute and what happens in that miracle is all through self-creation and all through the influence of your own mind. That's the best way to live, to be your own influencer, to know where it is that you want to be. Ray, read that again. The only way to live is by accepting each minute as an unrepeatable miracle. Did I not read it right? Did I say something wrong? So in essence, the decision making is, we know, is a thought process. It's a cognitive thought process, which when we make decisions is about what do we know, what do we do. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate you so much. I hope you're having a good day. I hope you're having a really good day. So week 9 is pretty cool. So your mindset can be considered a habit. Journaling can be considered a habit. Being grateful every day can be considered a habit. But how do I get to where it can be a habit, some people say? Because I want to journal, but I don't have the time. We make the time. That's where we intentionally and purposely do things that we know are going to benefit us. If you're alive, that means you would have taken the time to eat. And sometimes we eat on the go. Sometimes we eat on the fly. Sometimes we just grab a piece of toast dry and eat it with water in a rush, or eat an apple or a banana. That's okay to do with our minds too, as long as we know that we're feeding our mind with good thought and good things. And if you always feel overwhelmed, it's because you haven't taken the time to stop down to realize that you're not overwhelmed. You're perceiving your life as it being overwhelmed. That's what you're going to carry into tomorrow. I got to do this. I got to do that. I have these chores. You don't understand my life. You don't realize what I have to do in my life. My mom had 11 kids, and she took care of her aunt, and she took care of my dad, and she cooked and she made lunches. In 1975, one of my favorite things to do was when my mom picked me up from kindergarten in our station wagon, she had a big box of all my older brothers and sisters' lunches. And I'd stop by St. Pat's and Wahlert and a couple places to bring up their lunches to the office right on time for lunch. So you could only imagine the work it would take to raise such a large family. And sometimes we have one or two things to do and we get overwhelmed. We get overwhelmed typically because our mind is racing and we're not keeping things in order. We have to prioritize things. And we get complacent with that. We just feel that that's what life must be, is a bunch of hard work. And it's hard to change it, or it's hard to keep it. Like we said, choose your own hard. Satisfying your needs. That's why decisions are essential for fulfilling our basic needs and desires. Choosing food, shelter, social connections. These are all your choices. These are your choices, where you're going to live, where you're going to get your shelter, your food, and what kind of friends that you want to have in life, if you even want any friends. You know, so that's why when we're journaling or we're being mindful, it's strengthening our emotions. And when I say strengthening our emotions, it's knowing why they came, understanding them, realizing that they're part of our living process when we leave, our emotions of happiness, gladness, sad, depression. There's elements outside that can control our emotions. Rain, good. Some people are happy when it rains. A farmer would be happy when it rains after planting the crop, but somebody that has a picnic that day is not so happy. So not everything's for anybody. Sometimes there's people that get anxiety when it's snowing, not little kids. They get super happy. They're going to go build snowman and have snowball fights. But our past experiences, including outcomes of previous decisions, shape our future decision making. So these are our life experiences that shape our future decisions, right? Our life experiences, remember, that we put ourselves in, are now used as tools to help guide decisions of where we're going to be. It could be as simple as where you went shopping one time, or a particular clothing brand, or a particular kind of person that might rub you the wrong way. That doesn't mean it's a bad person. There's just things about it. Sometimes we have to look at people differently. Everybody is out there, and everybody has decisions to make in their lives. And not everybody's going to be liked by everybody. But that doesn't matter when you're journaling, because when you're journaling, you have the ability to understand that your real validation really comes from yourself. Anybody that owns a dog, how does your dog act when you come home? Because your dog knows you good. How does your dog act when you see your dog? And think about yourself like that. Think of yourself sometimes how your dog thinks of you. That dog wants two things. It wants love and it wants fed, right? There's a lot of influence factors, things that we can use on ourselves. Let me ask you a question. If you do something every single day for some type of validation, would you still do it without the validation? What things are you doing and going out of the way and putting effort in that's just for you? Have you ever rushed at the last minute to get something done for somebody because you told them that, yeah, I'll get that done, and you know that that was important to them? What's important to you? Maybe when we're being mindful and present and cultivating awareness, maybe one of the things we should ask ourselves is, what's important to me? What is it that's important to me in my life? Those are questions. Those are, good morning, Shay. Those are prompts. They're called journaling prompts. Journaling prompts are powerful. They're hard questions that we ask ourselves, and we could do a question a day. Through this 14-week series that I've done, which I'm so glad you're all here for it, we've started with week 1 being about emotions, okay? And we're finishing it off with week 14 being, I don't even know where the damn page is, with week 14 being about reflection and planning for your future. That's what the last 14 week is. In between, we've talked about mindfulness. Thank you so much. We've talked about presence. We've talked about decision making. We've talked about a lot of things. That's what journaling is. Journaling is everything in your life to make you better, to understand and navigate things. You can ask yourself a question. What was it about yesterday that bothered me? Was there anything that bothered me? What is it about next month that I have anxiety over? You know, when you're developed in your mind and working in your mind, thank you so much, Shay. When you're developed in your mind and working in your mind, how, when, and where you're going to achieve your goals and what list that they're going to be put on in your journal. And you're looking at past entries and things in your journal, you can actually see a tangible difference in the course of your life. Journaling is going to help you navigate your life as a fuel. And it's a fuel. I'm doing fantastic, everybody. It's a fuel. And nobody can siphon your fuel out of you. Just like people can take gas out of your car and siphon it, there's people out to siphon your fuel. And these are never the people that are doing better than you in life. There are people that are upset because you're doing better than them, but when you're being mindful and you're staying in your presence, what you're doing is you are staying in your safety bubble. And you don't need the validation, whether it's good or bad, from anybody. The biggest influencing factor in your life that's going to control your emotions or happiness is 100% your perception on information given to you out of other humans. And all humans are in a mind full of emotions. And at any given time, they're all thinking things. We're always at war somewhere in the world. There's always good news. There's always bad news. We have all these emotional beings. You're in charge of one person's emotions and one person's emotions only, and that's yours. Through the gift of journaling and understanding, this is going to help you navigate how to keep other people's emotional crap, cockadoodle bullshit, is what I like to call it, out of your life. Now, we have people that we parent. You know, some of us are parents, some of us are grandkids, and sometimes we're asked for advice. And when you ask somebody who journals for advice, it's going to be a far cry and very different than asking somebody who doesn't journal. All people are different. Knowing that we live in a world full of emotions, we also live in a world full of deceit. There's people out there that are going to do and say things to fuck with your sense of self-worth and screw with your sense of self-value. Just even sometimes by a simple comment about your outfit, your hair, something you said or you did. But your sense and knowledge of radaring these people out is enhanced as you journal. That can become a habit and a mindset of not letting things bother you that come at. And this is going to have a big impact on your behavior. And not just your behavior toward others, right? But your behavior toward yourself. That's what's most important. Your behavior towards yourself is what should influence you the most. Sometimes we'll find that we are our biggest bully. No one's going to put you down, beat you up worse than yourself, because you're the one that takes the information and applies it into areas of your life. And why do we do that? It's because we're uncertain about sometimes. We're born wanting to be loved. We're born wanting to be accepted. We want to fit into society, and that's okay. And when you're getting your validation from within, society recognizes you a little bit differently and you're more respected. When you walk into a room, you will glow. You don't have to be the loudest. You don't have to be the best dressed. You just have to be confident. Confident glows. People notice confidence. And when you do this, it becomes a secondhand, habitual, repetitive nature in your own mind, understanding the comprehension through your life experiences of what you've achieved, through the goals that you set, through the list that you make. but most of all, to the understanding you have of yourself. Because you've delved down and you made an intentional effort to change habits. You made an intentional habit to change your mindset. Affirmations have to be habitual. Good affirmations about yourself. Visual boards and affirmations and journaling. Remind yourself how good you are. Remind yourself that affirmations can help change you by giving you more better thoughts. Not like, ugh, I got to do this today. Ugh, I got to do that this weekend. When we started the live today, I said during the year, you're making all kinds of lists. Back to school lists. Some of you are on that right now, right? Birthday shopping list. You got Christmas lists coming up. You got a list, a Thanksgiving list. If you're getting married, you're going to have a guest list. You're going to do all this. So our life is made really of lists. Some of them were mental and some of them we write them down. The most profound list that you could make would be a list about yourself. And that is journaling. That's the most powerful list that you can have. Your secret little journal that's all about you. That's all about what you're doing. And what do you need? You need affirmations, right? You need self-understanding. You have to realize that people don't think about you like you think you do. And none of us are so special that we're the only ones going through a certain problem. We all go through those. Some people are navigating their thoughts and their minds on paper through a pen and examining them to help them navigate their life. So their little rowboat, they can once in a while put a sail up and let the wind of wisdom take them on the next ride, on the next day. Relax and fall into your life. Relax your mind, become mindful. Find a place of peace and quiet in your mind for long periods of time. Whether you do it at night before bed or whether you want to do it in the middle of the afternoon or whether you want to do it first time in the morning, you got to take time for yourself. You have to recharge your battery. Remember my little thing here? Inner peace loading. Please wait. Cultivate presence and awareness. When you're cultivating presence and you're cultivating awareness, what that means is, what do I mean with cultivate awareness? Recharge what? Awareness of your emotions, your thoughts, and your feelings, and how you're going in life. Recently, I had a lot of changes in my life with the big change of finding TikTok. I never thought I'd be on TikTok, doing TikTok things, talking to people, making friends. I have people's numbers, and some of them are in here. We text each other. We got each other's numbers too. Little bits of chat, and I got a lot of change is coming. And this is right here. We have Kelly. I got a lot of changes coming, and that right there is awareness. And journaling about the change that you have coming and prepping for change. Journaling is prepping the list. I have change coming and embrace the change. And I hope, Kelly, it's change that you want. And because some of the change that we want might be hard, but it's also relieving. It brings us to a better sense of control. And to know that it's coming and to know that change is coming, then half of the problem with change is already solved because of awareness. And that's what we're talking about in week 9, being mindful, being present, and intentionally accepting that change. Maybe you intentionally made that change. And if you did, that's a good thing. We all have a lot of change going on. And when you're going into change and things are going to be different, try to get a new mindset about it to have a good habit. Thank you for being in here, Cassie. Good morning to you. Thanks for following our live. We talk about journaling in here, and we're in the middle of a 14-week class, but you're always welcome to come in here. Anybody that wants to come in here, if you're wanting to solve problems, achieve goals, satisfy different needs, help make decisions and everything, it all starts with journaling and awareness. We're on week 9 of mindfulness, presence, cultivating presence and awareness, realizing what's coming up in your life. And if you've ever made a list of any kind, then you have journaled in your life. Any type of list that you've ever made. Have you made a Christmas list? Have you ever made a back to school list? Have you ever made a gratitude list? These are different types of journaling. Lists and journaling are guides that we use to cultivate a good mindset and perception that we get our thoughts, feelings, and instructions on how we live our lives outside of or inside of the home or the work or the church or anything that you belong to. Your guidance comes from you, from within, comes from your beliefs and what you believe about yourself, not so much about others. Realizing that the path that you're on is full of obstacles. And sometimes to find yourself in life, you got to figure out where these obstacles are, and you have to make an intentional effort intentionally to carry fear with you and come over the obstacles in your life. And when you do that, it can become a repetitive nature, helping you conquer life, helping you understand your emotions, helping you navigate the decisions that you need to make in life that are important to you through your own beliefs and your own morals and understanding of life to use as a compass to intentionally live a good life, to have the wisdom and understanding that you need to cultivate waking up to happiness. And you can do that with the decision to do that. Satisfying your needs is way more important than satisfying the needs of other people. When we're mindful and presence in our life, we're realizing what our needs are. And what are your needs right now? What is it that you really need? You need to eat. You need to probably have good hygiene. And you need to take care of your mind. And you may have to pay bills, have a job. And some of that takes so much time. But what about the rest of the time? What are you doing when nobody's looking? And how do you feel about yourself when nobody's looking? What you're doing when nobody's looking has a huge impact on your behavior, and it has a huge impact on how you're going to feel about yourself. Are you seeking out ways to make things better? Or are you like me, and if nobody's looking, you just take a nap? As I get older, I feel I have a better mindset when I take a nap, when I realize that sometimes my fuel's going down a little bit, right? Learning from our experiences and making decisions based on our experiences. But remember, we have experiences and people in our life that really are the trash of yesterday. We don't want to carry them forward into our life too much. So, influence your goals with thoughts that come from you. And sometimes our biggest failures are the catalyst to the new fuel, but we don't carry the failure with us. But in order to do anything right, you first have to fail at it. Failures are healthy, and they're healthy in our life. Restarting over isn't easy. You're going to fail some. You're restarting because you failed at something. When you're going forward, you have to be mindful and present of your needs and what your needs are in life. It's your responsibility to take care of yourself. Your mental health and your physical health are totally relying on you. And some of us, we also have pets and children, maybe even elderly parents that rely on us. Keeping ourselves in good mental condition, taking care of the maintenance that our mind needs, and feeding our minds, our bodies, and our souls with good fuel and thought through affirmations and understanding gives us a well-balanced control of our emotions, clarifies our minds, help us to live more in the presence, and help us understand what we are to be grateful for. There's many things in our lives that if they went missing, some of us would recognize them right away because we take a lot of things for granted in life. We sometimes exchange things that shouldn't be exchanged, that are no longer exchangeable. Sometimes these are friendships. Sometimes these are um, places that we belong to, that we go shopping. Have you ever had your favorite restaurant close or something? Change is inevitable. Things are going to constantly change in your life. But when you're habitual at being aware and you're habitual at being kind to yourself, that doesn't change. It only gets better. So you can't cry over spilt milk in life. When something is lost, or I've overspent this, I could have done this different, I could have done that. That is what I refer to as spilt milk. If you've lost opportunity in your life, then it just wasn't your time yet. If you feel that you've lost something and it wasn't fair, it just wasn't your time. Life's not fair. But here, fair enough. You're in control. You are in control. Learn from change. Right there, Kelly just said it right there, Kelly. You got it. Just pin that up there. How am I supposed to do that? Brian, are you playing around in there? Can you pin Kelly up there? Learning from the change. Changes happen. I have a shirt that is signed by the Every day is time for this. Look at this shirt I own. So change can be cool. Change is really cool. And when you embrace change, embrace the change, embrace the wind. You know, something neat. You do. Need to get one of those shirts. But I'll tell you something that is really neat. When you're sailing, my brother's a sailor. I'm a boater as well. I've had a boat for a really long time. We went out on it last weekend. Norma loves to go out on the boat, and I do. My son does. But here's what's really cool. Do you know that when you're sailing, it doesn't matter which way the wind's blowing, the captain can always get the ship to go the area that it needs to go. So we have to learn to resist what we feel is working against us. This is where one of the big secrets in life. How do I navigate what I want when I have this there, that rare, this obstacle, that? Navigate change through your perception. Navigate your change and navigate your obstacles with the tools you got. We're going to do this together with what we have. We're not going to wait on the perfect moment for change. There's no perfect moment in life. There's no moment in life that is the right time to make changes that you need to make. We make decisions in our head, but then we don't take the action on the decision because of fears in our head. Cognitive dissonance. We're blaming it on something. There's always going to be, I can't do it because of A, B, C, D, E. Well, D and E left, and A and B's back, but now I have a new L, M, and N, right? Learning from our experience and making decisions and being a procrastinator can all go away through journaling. Yes, a mindset can be created through journaling. This is what I want for you, folks. I want you to satisfy your needs and yourself through journaling. I want you to stay confident, and I want you to have specific experiences that include making an intentional decision that you've had enough of just floating and you want to control more of your life. You want to understand your emotions and where you are and how you can step into a universe of greatness, understanding things. That doesn't mean bad things won't happen. Things are going to happen all the time. Navigating life and all the choices and all that, it's life, the game of life. Every time we roll the dice, we're going to get a different number. And then we are going to have to roll with that number. right? But where we're stepping ourselves into, where's our value? At what extent in your life are you willing to risk things for more greatness? The only thing you're going to risk is some comfort, some TV time, some TikTok time, putting in effort. It's going to be hard to apply the effort. But if you don't, it's going to be hard facing the regrets later in life that you never, basically, in essence, took the time to make yourself better, because time's going away. The clock is a ticking. Tickety tock. Here goes the clock. Time for you. It's always time for us. We don't need a new day. We can start anything we want to in this moment. In this moment. In this very moment, we can enhance our self-awareness. We can enhance how we feel about ourselves. We can examine not just our self-esteem, but what our self-confidence is. Our self-esteem comes from when we were children, what we were molded into. That's a sense of self-esteem. Our self-confidence comes from something we're good at. If you can ride a bike, you probably have self-confidence that I can ride this bike. If you've had the same job for a while, you probably have confidence that you can do that job. We need to have self-confidence that we understand our self-esteem and some of the quirks and the problems that we have with ourselves, and navigate those problems to be tools to become better. It's the tools that we're not using are the ones that we should be utilizing in our decision making about ourselves. Think about that. What part of yourself have you always wanted to try out, but you just didn't? And don't say, because I didn't have anyone to go with, or that. We find excuses not to do this. We find how we're going to do this, how we're going to make it fun, how we're going to get to this part of life. How can we think good? The first step is we're going to take a moment to get intentional. We're going to get intentional about our life. We're intentionally really going to go journal. We're intentionally going to journal with different prompts. How have I been lately? Period. And then write a sentence. What's bothering me more? What do I see as my biggest challenge in life? And then write a sentence. How can I overcome this challenge? How can I overcome this weight? When you start writing it down, man, you can sometimes these little problems, you can just line them up on a table like little flies and flick them away. You realize these aren't problems, because when we write things down and on mindsets, we write down situations and formula, and we do the algebra of life and really think about it. These are solvable problems that we can resolve, and we're going to find that a lot of them are in our head. And they're not as big as we make them. That's what we do with our emotions and our imagination. If you aren't journaling, your problems are way bigger than you think they are. Right? So first, we're going to take a moment to get intentional, right? That's one of the things that we're going to do. That is one of the big things. Kitty Bird, how you doing, brother? Anybody that sees Kitty Bird dog in here, that's my brother. It's my brother Marty. He's a fantastic guy. Helped shape me and done a lot of things for me. And he's a great conversationalist. And we talk, man, every day on purpose. He's a fabulous person. And he's showed me guidance and love my entire life. So first, we're going to take the moment to get intentional, right? And then secondly, we're going to think of the one way to go and check in with yourself. What's the one way that you feel you can check in with yourself? Do you need to go somewhere? Do you need a vacation? And then think of another way to get to yourself and where you are. So this is all forcing you to make it a decision about how you want to be. I have a lot of different things in my life that I do in the journaling that is repetitive. And that's one of the things that you're going to have to do is to have some repetitive actions in your life. Yesterday, I went to the bookstore and I was reading a new book about obstacles. Obstacles are that are in your life. Some of them are created, and some of them only exist in our mind. And I don't want you to have obstacles and things that are in your mind. We're all self-taught when it comes to how we deal with ourselves. That's right. We're all self-taught. So your teacher, you, the professor of you, can change your mindset by not looking at journaling as an obstacle or a chore, but to look at it as a beneficial way to start your day, to end your day, to build your energy, not just mentally, but physically, and how it can be a life changer for you. Journaling is a great choice. It's a great choice, and it is an emotion detector for yourself. And it is a where how did this happen detector. And it's a people pleasing detector. If you want to please somebody, if you give 30 minutes to somebody, you got to be able to give 3 hours yourself. Your gut instinct should be telling you right now what's right and wrong in your life. That gut instinct is your subconscious silent mind that knows people, places, things, and situations. Times of the month. It's really smart. And inside that is where it comes out of your core. Basically, what I'm saying is everything you should be doing sometimes in our life is what we're avoiding. So our subconscious processing, your brain is constantly gathering and processing information even when you're not consciously aware of it. That's what a gut feeling is. Isn't that kind of cool? So in your self-awareness of what comes up when you're intentionally thinking that I'm being self-aware, that I've taken the 10, 15, 20 minutes to write about something, to be self-aware about something. Some of you have had taken the time to come to this course every week because I've seen you in here. And it's neat to see that it's important. And I'm hoping that those that have come in here, that you leave with something that resonates, that makes sense to you. Whether it's self-talk, whether it's creating new habits, whether it's changing your mindset. When we're getting into the last several weeks of, we got weeks 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 left. And they'll probably always be alive on. But as we get into next week and the week after are really good weeks because I think in the order that we have done this is next week we're going to be discussing historical significance of journaling and how to create a personal legacy of our own, right? Transformation and personal growth. Journaling can help you transform. If I could be anything, what would I be? And I don't mean like a superhero or a rocket science or a police officer or a doctor, a dentist, a chef, of anything. There's pride in every kind of work out there. Anything that gives you a sense of purpose. But let me ask you a question. What's the purpose of your life today? What's your purpose today? And what do you feel going into next year after reviewing 2025, your purpose of 2026 is going to be. Somewhere in there, in your journaling, in your awareness, your presence, where we're cultivating it, where we're loading new information, we have to understand what our purpose is. And it's plain and simple. Our purpose is to live our life in such a way that we constantly have personal growth and we constantly have understanding of ourselves. That's everybody's purpose, but we get lost in it into life, thinking that we need things, chasing materialistic things, chasing relationships, chasing down everything that we think we need because we might see other people doing that and thinking that somehow these things we chase are going to fill some kind of, going to validate something internal when it's not. Here's the thing. Your purpose in life is to be better than you were yesterday, to have more understanding for yourself tomorrow than you do today, to figure out what's in you today to leave as trash, to not take into tomorrow. Your purpose is to understand that you're not some meaningless part of evolution, that you're created out of love, and that we're all here for a reason. And the purpose is to understand the human existence and to realize that we are human, and also to realize our mind's going to play tricks on us. Understanding this is going to have a big impact on your behavior, your future behavior, but most importantly, the behavior towards yourself, the understanding toward yourself. Having goals to become yourself. That's your purpose. So, no matter what it is that you do, if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, if you anywhere that you work, if you're a chef, that's your career. That's what you do for a living. But what you do for life is different. And the only way you can navigate life and understand what you do for life is to understand your own emotions and your mind and what you're going to feed it with. That's what life is. That's like, man, cheers to that, right? To understand your purpose is just by every day to have understanding, first of all, that this moment's a gift. It's a good place to start. That's gratitude. That'd be the fundamental part of gratitude. If rebuilding your life was the tallest building in the world, it would have to have the strongest foundation. And that foundation would be gratitude. Because only when you're grateful for something, nobody can take away gratitude. It's like air. Nobody can stop you from breathing. And if you don't have gratitude as the foundation in your life, being grateful, not just for your problems, your past, your life and experience, but to live your existence, to have gratitude, to realize it's free. Nobody's going to come take away your moments. We instinctively are researchers in our life. We're instinctively trying to figure things out. But you're not going to figure anything out and have good perception on anything until you first figure yourself out, right? And you're not always going to be accurate. You're not always going to be perfect. We're not going to look at ourselves the same once we start journaling, once we have an understanding of who we are and why we think the way that we think. Giving ourselves a break and an understanding sometimes can be hard. And you need to listen to your inner voice about yourself. Give yourself a break. You can be changed, and it can have an impact on your behavior. Change is hard till you understand one thing, and that's your mindset. Once you're understanding your mindset in life, change can come with ease. You'll be able to navigate without the tools that you think you needed to navigate, because you'll understand that your purpose in life can't be hindered by others. Nobody can siphon your fuel. What you need to do is what you need to do. And the only person who can fuel your journey is yourself. That's the only person who's going to be able to open the doors to do the leaps and the bounds that it's going to take. No one's going to do it for you. If you have desires to be better than who you are, then write a plan and have those desires. If you have a way to make yourself better and believe more into yourself, then make yourself better and make yourself more of yourself. This is all about reclaiming your life and your time and your energy and your essence from your escape from the clutches of external expectations. Escape worry, escape hate. I want you to sit with these questions. Who are you trying to please and why? What are you sacrificing in the process? And most importantly, what would your life look like if you stopped? The illusion of control by pleasing others never works. Let's dive into the hard truth. No matter how much you try, you can never fully control how others will perceive you. Think about that. How many times have you bent over backwards to win someone's approval only to feel like your effort wasn't enough? Maybe you went out of your way to be likable, to say the right things, to fit into a mold. You thought they wanted you to be, and yet they still judged, or worse, they didn't notice you at all. Notice yourself. Notice yourself and notice the change and gain the self-respect that you deserve. People pleasing and getting validated elsewhere is a treadmill that'll never shut off. It's going to drain you of all of your fuel. Do what creates self-respect into your life. And when you work hard on that and you're getting some discomfort from it, that's good. Because in silence and discomfort and effort, and when you're making a very intentional purpose effort to engage purposely in your life, then you are open up your true purpose in life. Your purpose in life is to be better to yourself, to be kind to yourself. When you're kind to yourself, you're being kind to your maker, and you're being kind to your existence. When you're being kind to your existence, then you're kind to others. Then you have self-compassion, and then you have understanding, and then you have new ways to reason, and your reason and the way you feel resonates into the people around you. So how does this decision affect your family and loved ones when you decide to go this route in life, that your purpose is to only get better? Well, the benefits and the changes are so great that you realize that within ourselves, we are our own genie. And when we're polishing and cleaning ourselves up, it's like rubbing the bottle of the old story of the genie in the bottle. The universe is yours because you've understood the purpose of your life is for you to have understanding and greatness and peace, to have happy cries and laughter from your gut because you get it. And those are some of the things that'll happen when you journal. I'm going to leave you with one question today. And if you want to journal about this one question, then go ahead. What do you think you'd find if you focused on yourself for one day? That's something to think about. If you focused on just you today, don't worry about what anyone else is doing. Don't worry about what time the mail is going to get here. Don't worry about what's for lunch. That is right here. That's mindfulness, presence, cultivating peace and awareness. Your inner peace is always loading when you're taking it easy. Please wait. Have patience with yourself for your growth. Realize your purpose in life is to leave garbage behind and go forward with your positive influence that you have on yourself, with the respect that you're going to have and gain as you go forward in your life. Listen to yourself and find your happiness. Come in here every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 a.m. and start your day off right here with me. I'd be glad to talk to you. Don't forget, journaling is something that we can all do, and there's no right or wrong. And you can write and burn. You can just write about things that you like. You can write about your pets. You can write about your grandkids. You can write about your own children and the influence that you can have on those that you love in your life. Most of all, you have to have good influence on yourself. You have to be somebody that you approve of. And when we're talking about purpose in life, our purpose is to get a stamp of self-approval from ourselves. What is it that you really need? Only you know that. Are you ready for change? Are you ready to hit obstacles? Good morning, Courtney. Are you ready to do what it takes for yourself? It's going to take effort. It's going to take doing things on purpose. It has to be intentional, and it has to be thought that has continuity. When thought has continuity, that means I'm purposely going to engage into thought that follows a mood, that follows what it is I want out of my life without the worry of what other people are going to think. Because we know when it's right. When we self-validate ourselves and people see change to where they don't even have to ask you a question because they should know the answer, right? So what we're going to do today is we're going to stay mindful. Next week's a good week. We're on the 10th week. Can you believe that? Week 10 of 14. Where has time gone? We're going to be talking next week about something really cool. We are going to talk about record keeping and legacy. Yeah, we're going to just throw that right in the middle of this on our 10th week. We're going to discuss the historical significance of journaling as a way to create a personal legacy. And I'm going to have a lot of examples of famous journals and the impact that they've had. A journal could be any type of record, right? How journals and somebody keeping a record helped people forge forward to get work done. Could you imagine if we didn't have some of the journals and notes of some of the biggest brains that ever lived in the world, right? And we're going to reflect on our own personal growth and our own journey and how keeping a journal and our own legacy can help ourselves. A good time to read your own journal is your birthday. For some people, it could be the beginning of the year. But a good time to check in on yourself is every day. We don't wait for a birthday to show somebody they're special who we really love. We love them every day. A birthday is just a reminder that it's the real gift was the gift of life that started on that day. And the real gift that we receive is the new day when we wake up. And that is a gift. That's where awareness and being present and mindful is. To realize that waking up today was a gift. It's another birthday present. It's a gift you get every day. Good morning, couch. It's a gift you get every day. It is a gift. And understand that. Have awareness that today is about your continued journey of the purpose of your life, which is to have more understanding as life goes on. That's what the purpose of your life is understanding yourself and going forward and forging forward with information of what you need. And what you need is going to constantly change. And what you know is going to constantly change. Be open, be self-compassionate. The only harsh critic you should have is yourself. You know what needs to change, and it's going to take intentional effort into changing what you want to change about yourself. There was this, I'm about done for this morning, but I want to, if you're still in here, anybody, I'm going to tell you a story. There was, in Florida, they farm orange trees, and they do a lot of cleanup. In some parts of these thousands of acres of trees, they have burn areas where they burn, what they trim, the cutoff of the branches and everything. And around on parts of that, just other trees sprout up, some of them being orange trees and this and that. And they all race for the sun in the forest and everywhere. And a tree is programmed to bring the photosynthesis of the sun in to get the energy from the sun, the dirt, the soil, and it bears fruit, right? And it's pre-programmed. See, when we became human, the programming's in there for us to bear fruit in our life, right? But the problem is we were given the free will to be our own IT guy. We had to figure out how to bear fruit that gives our mind good thought and good energy. See, it's all here. All the pieces are here. But these are all little pieces. Our life is like a puzzle. We try to figure out where we're going to fit in. And we have setbacks. We have losses. We have self-doubt. We have a lot of things, don't we? But what are we focusing on? What are we focusing on? What we need to focus on is those trees that just grow over by the burn were seeds that were discarded. They were just thrown away. And they still will grow every year right out of that pile because the rain was there, the soil was there. So no matter where you're placed in life or where you are, you can always grow. No matter what stage you are in life, whether you've been beat down, whether you've been hurt, whether you've been talked about, you have value. You have value. So cultivate a good mindset and journal. Because sometimes we feel that we've been discarded by people or we've lost this or we lost that, but we never have because we're still a seed of hope that we have to tend to, a seed of hope that we have to tend to, that we understanding yourself, understanding your growth and growing. Is it really 7:25? Holy moly. I thought it was going to be a little after 7. So we're 6 a.m. Tuesday through Thursday. I'm so glad everybody's in here. I'm glad that you came by today. Um, consider what feels comfortable to you in your life. And we're all trying to fit in somewhere. And I was just saying, Shay, consider where you feel comfortable in your life and embrace it. Embrace the comfort that's given to you and embrace yourself. And if anybody who's in here that didn't hear this, the purpose of your life is to gain understanding of yourself. That's the purpose of your life. It has nothing to do with your career. It has nothing to do with how, where, when, or you get money. And it has nothing to do with anything other than how do you treat yourself and understand yourself. Life is a gift. It's a present. Every day is your birthday, and your gift is the earth. So have a good day, everybody. Thanks for being here. I can't wait to see you all next Tuesday at 6 a.m. Brian, Shay, Kelly, Couch, Alicia. If I missed anybody, man, I'm sorry. I try to look down at the comments the best I can, but sometimes I just keep talking. It's hard for me to shut up. Have a good day, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. God bless all of you.